Controversy abounds in the Big 12 Conference. This time, it's all surrounding the tiebreaker scenario that determines who plays in Arlington for the conference championship game. And there could potentially be two really unhappy fan bases when a clarification is done by the conference to clarify just what they meant by these rules. Are they really going to change this in the middle of the season? Was it needed? And is the Big 12 conspiring against the teams leaving the conference? All of that comes into question here, and we're going to talk about it all right after this word from my sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar or grab a chair and let me pour you out another shot of top shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode, we are talking about the Big 12 tiebreaker rules and apparently the clarification the Big 12 Conference is getting ready to make so that everyone understands what these rules actually say or what they're supposed to say. There's going to be a couple fan bases that are not happy when this clarification is made, and there's going to be one fan base that's ecstatic. Now, just to preface this, when Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, UCF came into the conference this past summer, the Big 12 had to change their tiebreaker rules because, let's remember, before there were 10 teams, they all played a round-robin schedule. It was pretty easy to determine the tiebreakers because everybody played everybody. Well, now everybody doesn't play everybody because there are 14 teams, so they had to come up with some tiebreaker rules, and boy, did they crap the bed. They did a terrible job coming up with these rules, these tiebreaker rules, and now everybody's confused. And we're coming down to a scenario where if everything plays out the way it's expected to, we could have three teams tied for second place in the conference with a 7-2 record. You would have Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma potentially all tied for second place. And obviously, whoever wins that tiebreaker would likely play Texas, who now sits, who would likely end up at 8-1 in Arlington for the conference title game. But the controversy is about, hey, who's going to end up finishing second? Now, Iowa State's in the conversation as well, but it's expected they're going to lose to Texas this weekend, so they would be knocked out of the conversation anyway. But let's remember, they could also be included in here, which would muddy the waters even more. The Big 12 is looking to clarify these rules, and they're going to do so on Wednesday with a conference call with the ADs. Now, the clarification they're going to make apparently is going to benefit Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has beaten both Kansas State and Oklahoma head-to-head this year. But apparently the way the rules are currently written, it's interpreted as that doesn't matter. All three teams have to play each other before the head-to-head matters, which means Oklahoma State, even though they've beaten both of those teams head-to-head, could end up getting left out of the conference title game, which is silly if you ask me, and I think most people agree with that. But apparently the way the rules are written right now, that's how it would happen. And you've got two fan bases in Kansas State and Oklahoma that are not real happy that the rules are getting changed right here in the middle of the season. You've got Kansas State fans mad because if this all plays out the way it's expected to, if all three of these teams win out and Iowa State gets beat by Texas, Kansas State would actually be the team who would play Texas for the conference championship game based on the way it's written now. Then you've got Oklahoma fans who are mad because they feel like this is a way for the Big 12 to once again conspire against Oklahoma and Texas and try to keep them out of the title game because they're leaving the league. Oklahoma fans are already trying to say that the Big 12 officials are conspiring against them because they're leaving the league. And they don't like the way schedules were written. And now this is just one more thing for them to say, hey, Big 12's conspiring against us. They're mad at us because we're leaving. Now, I think that's total hogwash. But if I was an Oklahoma fan, maybe I would probably see it their way, because we all tend to see things through our own team's point of view, right? But anyway, let's look at the couple things. Number one, after you're finished with this video, I suggest you go to Heartland College Sports podcast or YouTube channel. Recent episode he did with Brian Clinton on as a guest. Brian Clinton broke this all down and talked about all the different scenarios, what they mean, what could happen with each team. It was all very confusing, but not because of Brian. Brian actually did a great job breaking it down, but it's so muddled. And the Big 12 did such a terrible job writing these rules that it's confusing. So let's look at a couple different sources here. The first one I'm going to look at is Derek Young, who is a podcaster from the 3 Mile Podcast with John Kurtz and Cole Manbeck, who are friends of the show. They cover K-State, but Derek Young put out this tweet that with a snapshot or a screenshot of the Big 12 rules. In the event of a tie between more, again, you see this comes from Derek Young. And here, first off, here's what Derek had to say. This is the Big 12 tiebreaker language. Calling it a clarification to get Oklahoma State through would be incorrect. That would be an outright change. If they wanted it in the manner that would get OSU through, the second sentence under point number 1 is not even necessary. In the event of a tie, here's the Big 12 language exactly. If in the event of a tie between more than 2 teams, the following procedures will be used. After one team has an advantage and is seeded, all remaining teams in the multiple team tiebreaker will repeat the multiple team tiebreaking procedure. If at any point the multiple team tie is reduced to 2 teams, the 2-team tiebreaking procedure will be applied. Oh my Lord, I'm already confused. Oh man. Anyway, let's look at tiebreaker scenario number 1, which is the one causing all the controversy. Okay, here's what it reads: head to head, best cumulative win percentage in games among the tied teams. If not, comma, and that comma is important. Every tied team has played each other. Go to step 2. Now, I think when I look at this, I don't think that first comma is supposed to be there. Maybe it is. I don't know. But if it's not, let's take that out for a minute. It will say, if not every tie team has played each other, go to step 2. But basically what that's saying is, if you've got a 3-team tiebreaker and a couple of those teams haven't played, then it doesn't matter what the third team did, even if they beat the other 2 teams. You have to go to step 2, which would nullify Oklahoma State's 2 wins over Oklahoma and Kansas State head-to-head. They would have to go to 2, which is record against the next highest placed common opponent in the standings based on record in all games played within the conference. And it's my understanding the next team on that list, I think, would be Kansas. I could be wrong. Again, Brian Clinton covers it all in his episode. And if Kansas State beats Kansas, then that would put them ahead of the other 2. At least that's the way I understand it. But now I could be wrong. But the point is, Kansas State would hold the advantage over the other, hold the tiebreaker over Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in this scenario. And of course, again, Oklahoma fans are saying, well, this is just a way to keep Oklahoma out. It's actually not. It's because, like Derek Young pointed out, it's actually going to hurt K-State more than it hurts Oklahoma. Now, let's look at another source. This is an article that was written by Berry Tramel. Most of you probably know Berry Tramel for his work at the Oklahoma. This was actually in selloutcrowds.com. It says the Big 12 tiebreaker clarification helps OSU, hurts OU. All reasonable people can agree OSU should win a 3-way tiebreaker, also involving OU and K-State. But the Big 12's tiebreakers cause confusion, and its clarification is sure to inflame Sooner Nation. Now, I'm not going to read this entire article. I'm only going to touch on the parts that are relevant to what we're talking about here today. It says OSU is the beneficiary of a Big 12 football tiebreaker clarification by the conference office, potentially to the detriment of OU. Welcome to more Big 12 conspiracy theories. A vaguely worded tiebreaker, written in the offseason after the Big 12 expanded to 14 members, caused the confusion. The policy in question concerned a potential 3-way tie with OU, OSU, and Kansas State, each winning out and finishing 7-2 in the league. OSU beat both OU and K-State, which would seem to have solved the problem. But no, OU and KSU did not play this season, and the confusing wording in the tiebreaker required interpretation. Here's how the tiebreaker read for at least 3 teams tied. Now, I've already read that to you. I'm not going to repeat it again. Who wrote that tiebreaker? A 4th grader? More on that gibberish later in the Big 12's complete failure to produce clear tiebreakers. But the original 3-way tiebreaker interpretation gave OU a path to the title game, pending a favorable results of other conference games. Suffice to say, the Big 12 did the right thing by clarifying how it will apply the head-to-head tiebreaker when more than 2 teams are tied. If one of the teams is unbeaten against all the other tied teams, that team advances. In 2023, OSU should win a 3-way tiebreaker also involving OU and K-State. All reasonable people can agree on that. But the unclear nature of the Big 12 tiebreakers caused confusion, and the clarification is sure to inflame Sooner Nation, which is leery of Big 12 decisions as OU leaves the league, headed to the Southeastern Conference. From on-field officiating to scheduling, the Sooners, and Texas too, have sensed unfair treatment. Most of that is irrational paranoia. I don't believe in conspiracies, said even OU coach Brent Venables, but the athletic director's decision will only feed that fire. Was the Big 12 in cahoots or just incompetent? My vote is incompetent on the side of the conference office, along with indifference on the side of the athletic directors. Now, let's go down here, and it says, again, he reads out the tiebreaker, the number 1 scenario, where it says, if not, every tie team has played each other, go to step 2. And Tramel questions, if not, what does that even mean? If not, what? Who wrote this? It's crazy. And then he goes on to say, maybe the conference should have commissioned the Mountain West to work up the tiebreakers. Here is the Mountain West Conference policy for the same scenario. Now, listen how well written this is. Winning percentage of the tied teams are compared in a mini round robin format. If, within the mini round robin, any of the tied teams did not play each other, see, it lays it out. If any of the tied teams did not play each other, the group of teams shall remain tied, unless one team defeated all other tied teams. Bingo, there you go. That would pave the way for Oklahoma State. See, simple, clear language is possible, is what Tramel said. Now, Tramel goes on to talk about his conversation with the Big 12 and how that caused them to ask even more questions. He told them, hey, this is kind of confusing. So they go back to conference office. They start talking about it amongst themselves, and they realize, hey, maybe we need to make a clarification, which they intend to do on Wednesday, November the 15th, which will be tomorrow. I'm recording this on Tuesday the 14th. And then he finishes up the article with this. The tiebreaker confusion falls at the feet of Scott Draper, the Big 12's vice president for football. He was hired in September 2022 after serving since 2014 in a similar position at the American Conference. So he should have experience with these kinds of matters. But truth is, all are at fault. The league office, athletic directors, heck, blame us in the media. From now on, we should go through all these tiebreakers and mark up the nonsense. It would save us all a lot of time, because he said earlier in the article he feels like they should really lean on members of the media to write them instead of lawyers. I understand teams being upset that this is getting quote-unquote clarified or changed in the middle of the season. I understand that. But if the intention all along was to make sure that a team like an Oklahoma State, who would beat the other 2 teams, made it through, maybe that was their intention all along. So if that was the case, this can all be blamed on just a simple fact of they did a crappy job writing these rules. And now by the fact that they're going back and changing them in the middle of the season, the optics are bad. They're real bad. You could look at this and say, hey, they're just trying to keep certain teams out. Now, I do not think that's the case. I think all the conspiracy theory talk among Oklahoma and Texas fans is absolute nonsense. It's absolute hogwash. Officials aren't trying to screw them in games. It's just their perception. So they can do all the SEC chants they want to because they're not happy with the officiating. And look, if I was an Oklahoma fan, in all fairness, I would probably feel the same way they do. Let's be honest. We have a tendency to see things through the lens of our own team. That's just the way we're built because we're fans. But as an outsider looking in, I think it's hogwash. Big 12 refs are just bad, okay? They just suck. That's all there is to it. There's not a conspiracy. They've also had complaints about scheduling and things, but nonetheless, this is not a conspiracy. This is just a really crappy job by the Big 12 Conference. They're taking a big L here in the way they wrote these rules. Now, what they probably, and I have no issue with them clarifying it, because Oklahoma State should be the one going to the title game if it plays out the way it's expected to. I have no issue with them clarifying it. So the failure to me is not in going back and clarifying it. The failure is they screwing up earlier in the season or before the season when they wrote the rules wrong in the first place. They may have put a comma in the wrong place, or maybe that sentence meant to be interpreted in a different way. I have no idea, but whatever they did it wrong and they screwed up. And now they have to go back and fix it. They have egg on their face, and it makes it look bad. The optics are terrible. So the Big 12 screwed this up royally. So I recommend in the offseason, we're going to have 16 teams starting next year. They better go back, do a deep dive on these tiebreaker rules, make sure they're clear, there's clarity, and there's no confusion once we get into the season, because we all know there's going to be a lot of teams not playing each other from now on every year. The round-robin format is out the window now. They've got to make sure there's no confusion when it comes to these tiebreakers. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section, Couz's Corner family. What do you think about this situation? Do you think this is a conspiracy by the Big 12 to keep OU out? Or do you simply think there was an error in the way it was interpreted? Are you on the side of, hey, this should be done, it needs to be clarified? Or should they have waited to the end of the season to fix this? I personally think, like I said earlier, I think the clarification does need to be done before we get to the Big 12 title game to make sure there's no confusion. Please let me know your thoughts. Guys, at the bottom of the screen, you see 4 names. These are 4 pub-level VIP members here at Couz's Corner. To join that club, it's only $2.99 a month. Shout out right now to new member Todd Biela. And Todd, I hope I didn't screw up your last name. Also, shout out to Matthew 1981, Heath Stokes, and Alice Stokes. I thank you all for your support of the channel. Thank you for supporting me here at Couz's Corner. And also, there's a club level that's $4.99 a month if you want to support me a little bit more. There are also a couple extra perks that go along with that, like a private Discord server. Once in a while, I'll give you early access to videos with limited ads, those kind of things. Shout out to 4 club level members, Bill G., Denny Allen, Hellbilly, and Mike Rayner. Thank you all for your support and for being club level VIP members here at Couz's Corner. Guys, join this club by hitting the join button below, or if you don't have a join button on your device, go to the description box. There'll be a link there for you to hit and join my channel. You can also check out my merch store. Have a lot of items over there to choose from with several different designs, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, coffee mugs, you name it. I've got it over there. Go check it out. You can also check out the Honored Athlete link if you are a fan of trading cards, or if you want to support your favorite football team and its players through NIL. Click the Honored Athlete link. Buy yourself some trading cards for your favorite team. Oklahoma is available right now. West Virginia, you can pre-order right now. They're not available yet, but you can pre-order the West Virginia cards. There are some other Big 12 teams available or on pre-order, as well as some teams from other conferences. Go check that out. It'd be a great Christmas gift for someone that's a fan of one of these teams. And there will be more teams coming out soon. And if you do that, by the way, if you use that link in the description box, I will make a small commission from the sale, and it'll be a way to support my show. Also, guys, last but not least, support me for free. It's easy, quick, free. All you have to do is hit the thumbs up button, which is a like button. Drop the comment below that I mentioned. Share it with your family and friends. And last but not least, if you have not subscribed to Couz's Corner, what are you waiting for, folks? I cover West Virginia football. I cover conference realignment. I cover Big 12 news and Big 12 football. If you like any of that, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos and future live streams. Also, I have a website. Go check me out, couzscorner.com. A lot of cool blogs over there. My new writer, Shannon Rose, has been putting up all kinds of really good West Virginia football and basketball content over there. So go check out my website, couzscorner.com. It's also a place where you can access all of my video. You can access my videos and all of my podcast episodes all in one place. So go check that out, couzscorner.com. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you have a top shelf rest of your day. And don't forget to cue country roads.